Have you ever looked at someone in a position of immense power, a political leader, a CEO, a celebrity influencer, or a historical figure, and wondered with genuine incredulity how on earth they managed to ascend to such heights? We all have. It's a universal human experience to witness baffling incompetence elevated while capable, thoughtful, and genuinely insightful individuals languish unnoticed in the background. This isn't a fluke, nor is it simply a side effect of random chance or the occasional system failure. It's a persistent, global pattern that crosses time periods, cultures, and social structures. The unsettling reality is that the corridors of power are often populated by those least equipped to wield it wisely. But what if this wasn't just an unfortunate accident of history? What if there's a hidden, almost diabolical logic to why foolish, overconfident, or morally bankrupt people rise while the wise, the ethical, and the reflective are sidelined? This paradox isn't a novel observation. As early as the 16th century, the Florentine political philosopher Niccolò Machiavelli examined these dynamics with an unflinching, and some would argue, disturbingly lucid gaze. Machiavelli, famously misunderstood as a cold-hearted advocate for tyranny, wasn't promoting corruption or malevolence. He was describing the brutal mechanics of power in the real world. He saw power as it was, not as we wished it to be. His reflections on leadership, human psychology, and political structures reveal enduring truths about the dynamics that allow the incompetent to ascend, and why intelligent, ethical, and capable individuals often find themselves excluded from positions of influence. In his seminal work, The Re, Prince Machiavelli remarked, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." This deceptively simple observation speaks volumes about the nature of authority and influence. In politics, business, and virtually any hierarchical structure, perception matters far more than reality. Competence, while valuable, is often invisible or too complex to be evaluated by the masses. What people respond to is confidence, simplicity, and the seductive illusion of certainty. Leaders are judged not by their ability to manage nuance, but by their skill in projecting conviction, even in the absence of wisdom. This tension between appearance and substance forms the crux of the paradox. Intelligence, by its nature, is self-questioning. It acknowledges uncertainty. It sees complexity where others crave simplicity. It hesitates where others rush headlong. And in a world that rewards boldness, decisiveness, and the unshakable illusion of control, these intellectual virtues become liabilities. A genuinely intelligent person entering a power structure is almost immediately disadvantaged. Their nuanced thinking makes them slower to act, more prone to ethical reflection, and reluctant to make sweeping promises they know they cannot keep. Consider the fate of Socrates, whose relentless questioning earned him a death sentence from Athenian democracy, contrasted with history's many populist demagogues who have rallied masses by offering simple, absolute certainties. Intelligence invites complexity, and complexity is an uncomfortable companion in a society hardwired for clarity and assurance. It's little wonder that throughout history, those most capable of subtle, careful, and nuanced leadership are often sidelined while the overconfident and ethically flexible surge ahead. Modern psychology provides a fascinating confirmation of these Machiavellian observations. The Dunning-Kruger effect, a cognitive bias first formally identified in the late 1990s, illustrates how individuals with limited knowledge or ability often overestimate their competence, while genuine experts, acutely aware of the limits of their understanding, tend to underestimate themselves. This cognitive asymmetry warps social hierarchies. The fool proclaims certainty while the sage qualifies their insights. The masses, wired to equate confidence with competence, frequently follow the loudest, not the wisest. Research bears this out. A 2020 study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology demonstrated that individuals displaying overconfidence are more likely to be perceived as leaders by their peers, irrespective of their actual competence. It's not ability that commands allegiance, but the performance of certainty. History is littered with the consequences. Leaders like General George Armstrong Custer, whose arrogance led to military disaster, or Elizabeth Holmes, whose charisma and unfounded optimism secured billions in investment despite her company's fraudulent foundations, exemplify the recurring pattern. What's even more insidious is the way incompetent leaders consolidate power once it's obtained. Machiavelli identified a chillingly consistent tactic. Such rulers tend to surround themselves with even less competent subordinates. In The Prince, he advises that one can estimate a ruler's intelligence by observing the people he keeps around him. Weak leaders, threatened by capable advisors who might expose their limitations, instead appoint loyalists, flatterers, and incompetents. This secures their position, shields them from criticism, and fosters an environment where mediocrity perpetuates itself. This organizational pattern has played out across empires, corporations, and modern governments alike. The Roman Emperor Commodus systematically replaced capable administrators with entertainers and sycophants, accelerating Rome's decline. In modern Brazil, political systems institutionalized this behavior, with party loyalists securing appointments based not on merit, but on personal connections. The Zimbabwean regime under Robert Mugabe followed a similar pattern, leading to economic catastrophe as competent administrators were replaced by partisan loyalists. Organizational psychology labels this phenomenon competence threatening. Insecure leaders perceive capable team members as threats rather than assets. Instead of cultivating talent, they select for loyalty and compliance, creating networks of mediocrity that choke innovation and suppress dissent. The consequences extend beyond personal grievance. They erode entire institutions, hollowing them from within. You may have experienced this firsthand in workplaces where questioning decisions is discouraged, or where raising concerns is framed as disloyalty. These symptoms betray deeper structural rot. Even knowing this, people remain drawn to leaders who offer simple answers to complex problems. The human mind craves certainty. In uncertain, volatile environments, this need intensifies. Cognitive psychology explains that in the face of ambiguity, people gravitate toward black and white thinking. Leaders who claim, "I alone can fix this," seduce followers not with facts but with the illusion of control. Nuance and complexity, however accurate, are profoundly unsatisfying in moments of crisis. Look at how environmental scientists discuss climate change, hedging statements with probabilities and scenarios, while populist figures reduce the issue to either denial or apocalyptic certainty. The complexity of medical policy, economic reform, or foreign affairs is likewise flattened into slogans and absolutes. Which message gains traction with the public? The one that offers simplicity, even at the cost of truth. Studies confirm this tendency. A 2017 Yale experiment demonstrated that when confronted with politically charged information, participants, even those highly skilled in mathematics, were more likely to misinterpret data when it conflicted with their beliefs. The more mathematically gifted the person, the more elaborate the justifications for holding on to preferred conclusions. Intelligence, then, doesn't always protect against bias. It can strengthen it. This yearning for cognitive closure makes societies especially vulnerable to manipulation in times of fear or upheaval. Machiavelli adds another disquieting layer to this analysis. He argued that moral considerations themselves can handicap intelligent, ethical people in power struggles. In The Prince, he infamously advises that rulers must learn how not to be good when circumstances demand it. This is not a call for gratuitous cruelty, but a recognition that ruthless pragmatism often triumphs over principled hesitation. Julius Caesar's success in ancient Rome lay in his willingness to cross both literal and figurative Rubicons that restrained his rivals. Cicero, brilliant and principled, faltered where Caesar forged ahead. The modern world echoes this pattern. Psychopathic traits like lack of empathy, combined with superficial charm, have been shown to correlate with rapid corporate advancement. Manipulative leaders outpace ethical peers, not necessarily because they are more skilled, but because they are unburdened by moral constraints. This leads to what game theorists describe as a race to the bottom. When unethical tactics prove successful, Others must adopt similar strategies or risk marginalization. Over time, entire systems normalize. Corruption and deception, eroding public trust and institutional integrity. It explains how once exceptional nations, corporations, or movements decay under the weight of mediocrity and manipulation. Yet all is not lost. Machiavelli himself believed that different environments reward different qualities. In professions, with immediate, unforgiving feedback, where a failed bridge collapses or a surgical error claims a life, competence remains paramount. But in opaque systems where outcomes are delayed, distributed, or obfuscated, incompetence can flourish indefinitely. The Soviet Union's collapse was hastened by a system that shielded leadership failures behind ideology and bureaucracy.